My god, do we have a really good game here. I'm versing a pretty well-known YouTuber. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. I mean, why else would you be here? But if you haven't heard of him, I'll be linking his channel. And a couple nights ago on Skype, it was like really early in the morning, it was like 2 AM. We decided to challenge each other at first gen, so I thought, you know what, I'm taking this challenge because I would like to play someone really good. So here's how it went. I bring my sort of old team, but I altered it a bit. I bring in Snorlax and Lapras, so I'll be leading off with Gengar per usual, and he brings in the Executor. Now I go for the sleep here, and this is how you can tell it's going to be a dodgy game. As soon as he goes to sleep, he wakes up like instantly. He's like, no, you're not putting me asleep. So then I just put him to sleep again, and I'm actually dreading that these hypnosis are going to start missing, because I'm pretty much a 2-hit KO from Psychic anyway. So here, I mean, I don't carry the Explode or the, like, I don't see a point for Nightshade personally. I kind of prefer Seismic Toss due to PP, but I knew he would be switching out, so I kind of used the Confuse right here just so I can get a free switch in, like possibly he hits himself, like I think no, he doesn't. Anyway, basically, if he's gonna stay in, he has to risk hitting himself. If not, then I'll get like a free switch on something. But I do go for the Psychic here because knowing this Alakazam, I mean, it would be nice to paralyze it, but I really doubt he's gonna let it get paralyzed. I didn't want to go for the Stun Spore because the fact that Chansey came in, he wants his Chansey to get paralyzed. I mean, Chanseys are one of the best Pokemon to get paralyzed if you're going to take it paralyzed, because if you don't paralyze your Chansey later on, it's most likely that when it's Chansey v Chansey, which we both have Chanseys, it's usually a bit of an Ice Beam war, where, as you can see here, I'm thinking of playing my Chansey. I'm thinking, I know he's probably going to go for the Ice Beam this turn. If I put my Chansey in on this turn and he gets frozen, I'm just going to kick myself. So I thought I'll go for the Snorlax here, because otherwise if I put in my Chansey, it would just be this long Ice Beam war, which I'm probably going to lose, because I like when I play online on my simulator, when I play on Pokemon Online, I tend to lose a lot of speed ties in first gen. Like I do whatever I can to avoid the game being on speed ties. Like I try to avoid it being Tauros versus Tauros, because in the end I'm always losing the speed ties, and I try to avoid Chansey versus Chansey because I'm usually the one that gets frozen. So I put in Sharted here, in case you're wondering why it's called Sharted. As you can see my opponent's picture, it looks like he'd kind of done something like, yeah. Moving on, he decided to go for the counter here. Like I used 2 body slams and I managed to get him down to half, to about Hyper Beam range, and he comes out with counter, and that's pretty amazing because you don't see many counter Snorlaxes. Like I see 1 or 2 on PO, but you won't get them a lot. They usually default says body slam, Hyper Beam, Earthquake, self-destruct, but I'm carrying the Surf on mine over self-destruct, and he's carrying counter and double edge, which is something you don't always see. So he does switch out here because I was just going to keep spamming the Confuse Ray and Seismic Toss, but it turns out here he goes into his Executor and it wakes up once again. Now I should have seen this, because this thing has woken up like 2 times now. At the end you'll see it wakes up at a really crucial moment, which I did not want it to wake up, but you know what, I thought I might as well get rid of it now. I'm just going to keep spamming Seismic Toss, and he brings in the Alakazam and that takes the damage, which is alright because now it's in Hyper Beam range. So I know either he's going to heal or T-Wave, so I want to go into something that can, you know, doesn't really matter, where I look steady, because even if he was to, you know, switch out, I'll get like a Stun Spawn or something. He goes into Chansey. Now I can see already Alakazam and Chansey is just an annoying combo. I don't have many things for it. So I'm thinking, do you know what, I'm just going to explode while I can, because it'll get to a point where this Executor will have to play a crucial part and he won't be able to, because he's just going to get paralyzed or something. So if I take out his Chansey now, that's just going to save me so much hassle. And you know what, taking out his Chansey here was actually one of the reasons like my team was always a step ahead of his, because Chansey is just annoying. When a team has a Chansey, you're struggling even more, because Chansey can pretty much take anything. But now his Alakazam is basically his main special ward he's got here. Everyone else on his team, well, you can tell his last Pokemon's gonna be Tauros. Everyone has a Tauros, but I'm still not sure what his 5th Pokemon was gonna be. If I had to guess, I guess it was a rock type because everyone tends to carry a golem or a Rhydon. So I thought Lapras is needed here, and I was pretty sure he was going to either switch out or go for attack here, because I thought there was no way he can probably break for the power fusion because he's paralyzed and he's confused. So it's a very unlikely chance he can get through, but he can get through. And only after this battle I actually learned when your opponent uses explode or self-destruct, your defense halves on that turn. So the turn they use it on, your defense is halved for some reason. I actually never knew that, but I'll take that in consideration next time because I didn't think he'll break through the power fusion. And here I have to sack my Lapras, but I don't usually go into Gengar unless I know 100% they're gonna explode. Like the last match I had with an old friend, I only went into Gengar on his explosion because I was at +2 Snorlax, so I knew it was coming. So this turn I was hoping the Snorlax would hit itself, and then next turn I knew it would explode, so then I would have gone into Gengar. But the first turn I thought he had no reason to explode because I wasn't too sure, but then again it was a very good play because if I hit him with a Blizzard, he would have been on such low HP that he wouldn't have a chance later on to explode. So now that Alakazam's paralyzed, the only threat on his team that I know of would be his Tauros, speed wise. So my Chansey did its job and got out of there. Now I managed to play Snorlax really well here, but as I guessed, he had a rock type, and I wanted to go for Surf because I knew that Alakazam wouldn't stay in, or I wanted to go for Earthquake in case this happened, but then I thought, just by chance that Alakazam stays in, I might go for the Body Slam because there's always the chance that his last Pokemon would have been a Starmie, a Lapras, or something like a Zapdos or a Jolteon, for all I know. So using Surf on those 4 Pokemon wouldn't really work, whereas if I used Body Slam here and got the Paralyze on this Golem, I would have been able to outspeed the next turn and go for the Surf, but I didn't get the Paralyze, so that was a good play for him. But I really thought Body Slam would have been the best option there because in case he did have a Lapras or Starmie, the Surf would just look so stupid, like especially if they had the Lapras, because my Chanseys always get owned by Laprases with that whole Power Fusion shit. So here I'm kind of in a dilemma. I'm not too sure what I want to do because I want to go in Gengar, but I'm pretty sure Gengar's a one-hit KO from Earthquake. I was really tired, like I said. This happened very early in the morning, so my calcs were not according to as they were. Like I'd nearly put in Gengar here, but I stayed in with Tauros and I went for the Blizzard because I thought, knowing him, what he did with Snorlax, he exploded the first chance he got. I was pretty sure this Golem would explode and take out my Tauros, but the fact he knows out of a Gengar, he's more caution. Like he knows that if he explodes, he might just lose his Golem for no reason. And at the moment he has more Pokemon than me. But at the moment the reason I'm looking more solid is because one's asleep and one's paralyzed. Whereas my team, I think my Chansey's paralyzed, and that's it really. Gengar and Tauros are pretty much looking good. Tauros is what I need to win this game, so Tauros, I go for the Earthquake in case he brings whoever he wants to bring it in. I wasn't too sure, but now his Tauros comes in, and this is where I told you I try to avoid these speed ties. I lose them, so I really want to avoid them as best as possible. I do not want to be taking this, like risking a coin flip here. Now I wasn't sure if he would go for the Earthquake, predicting Gengar to come in, and Chansey's always a 2-hit KO from Tauros as far as I am concerned. I mean, like I said, even though my brain was switched off, I'm pretty sure Chansey's still a 2-hit KO, unless I'm calculating something wrong here. Even if it's Earthquake and Hyper Beam, I'm sure it's a 2-hit KO. I went for the Body Slam this time because I was hoping just maybe I would get a crit or something. But what I've done now is I've put my Tauros into a more dangerous situation where he could use Earthquake, but to be honest, he doesn't. I don't think he would want to risk taking a Hyper Beam, like just by chance. I don't think he'll go for the Earthquake and let me like Body Slam him and then next turn Hyper Beam finish him. That would be a big misplay. So this turn I think he did go for the Hyper Beam as I put my Gengar in, because like, I was more confident that he would definitely go for the normal type move, because like I said, if he went for the Earthquake I would have lived, hit him with a Body Slam, and then it would come down to a coin flip Hyper Beam. So I go for the Seismic Toss here because I just want to get some damage off. He went for the Earthquake and now it's back down to a speed tie again. Now at this point I'm put in a tough situation because Seismic Toss will definitely not kill him, and neither will Thunderbolt, because judging by my HP being on 123, it looks roughly the same as his. He looks like he might have a little bit more. So I can't actually put anyone in like Tauros or Chansey, so my only option here is to win the speed tie and go for the confuse ray, because either he will hit himself or I'll be good enough to bring Chansey in or Tauros in. Like, he'll have to be forced to switch out. So playing this confuse ray was really good, and it helped a lot because obviously the speed tie will be a 50-50 and the confuse ray is a 50-50 as well. So I got lucky here and he hit himself. So now I can guess he's gonna switch out. Like, if I was to attack here, most likely he would have hit himself again or something. I'm not sure, but the best option here is not to risk it and switch out. So at this point I knew that Alakazam was coming in, so I went for the seismic toss here. Now, judging before that my parafusion didn't work at all, I was hoping to God that it would work this time. Like, come on, he's paralyzed and he's confused. So he did hit himself and I'm just going to finish him off here. Now, after this turn, this is where I make my first misplay. There was two huge misplays I made, and the first one would have ended the game probably 3-0, but I don't know what was going on. Seriously, my mind was just off. So I will be going for the seismic toss until Alakazam dies, and then he'll bring his Tauros in. Now, after this match, I wanted to know how much HP his Tauros actually had, and even during the match he told me it was over 100. But after the match I worked out that his Tauros HP was 110 exactly at this point. It was 110. So seismic toss wouldn't kill it. So I don't know, I went for the confuse ray again, which wasn't a bad play because Chansey still had a chance. But if I went for the Thunderbolt right here on this turn, that Tauros would have died. Because I keep thinking seismic toss does 100 and Thunderbolt does 95, so I keep thinking seismic toss is my strongest move. It really isn't. I know seismic toss always does 100, but what I didn't calculate was Thunderbolt has a max damage roll of 122 when he was at 110. So if I did go for the Thunderbolt, he would have died. But that wasn't such a huge misplay. I mean, it kind of was, because I would have killed his Tauros and then the Executor would have died to Gengar and it would have been 3-0. But this was the second misplay coming up here. I put Chansey in because it's paralyzed. Now, we're still messaging each other at this point, and he even said to me himself, he said now he's confused, he won't risk it. Like, no good player will stay in while a Tauros is confused, because he'll hit himself and that's it, game over. So he even said to me, I can't risk being confused, I need to switch out. So instead of me going for the Ice Beam, I went for the Thunder Wave. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I missed the go there. Like, it's really not working out for me. I messed up so badly there. All I had to do was use Ice Beam on the switch out, the Executor comes in, takes the Ice Beam, and even if the Executor woke up the next turn, my next Ice Beam would have killed it, because it's a 2-hit KO from half HP. All I had to do was use Ice Beam that turn, but instead of using Ice Beam, I went for the Thunder Wave, I missed the go, then I went for the Ice Beam again and actually hit this time, and then he woke up and exploded on me. That was so bad of me, and at this point I was messaging him saying, you deserve the win right now, because I don't know what's going on with me, I don't know what's wrong with me, so I think you deserve the win. But he told me at this point he clicked Hyper Beam, and I said, you know what, we both couldn't calculate if Holy Slam would actually kill, but because it's the most reliable. So I went for the Hyper Beam, and I managed to get the kill here. And that was just really lucky. I mean, once again the game came down to a speed tie, and pretty much all of my first gen games come down to speed ties, and you just gotta hope you'll win that speed tie. But after I won that speed tie, he was pretty much like, this is bullshit, and yes, it is bullshit because that's the reason I nicknamed my Tauros bullshit. But he kind of got a bit violent and he started saying stuff like he wouldn't feed his Tauros anymore and that it was a bad Tauros. So I actually had to call the Pokemon helpline and get his Tauros removed because I didn't like the things he was saying. But otherwise, that was a really good game and I enjoyed playing this guy. This guy is a legend, but I personally wouldn't count that as a win. In my books, that's not a win. That was just luck. That was like, if he won the speed tie, he would have won. So technically, in my eyes, that was a draw. I would have not counted that as a win. But my two misplays cost me pretty much. It cost it to come down to that. Like, it had to come down to a speed tie. So that was a really good game, but I could have played it a lot better. But he played pretty good on his half. He did what was necessary. So good game, and I look forward to a rematch in the future. So be sure to check this guy out, and peace.